Hi folks, I'm Sam. Welcome to my YouTube Talks. I just wanted to let you know a little background about myself. I have attended 2 business schools in my life, and it's also worth mentioning that I have worked in real estate with Prudential in the past. And I'm going to tell you about the data in the Florida real estate market today. There is lots of data, but there is a clear picture of what's going on. If you look at the data, many investors have been purchasing real estate at the low end of the market quite a bit since the very beginning of this pandemic, and they have kept reselling these homes 2 and 3 times over. For this first example here, you can see that in 2019, this property sold for $32,500. And then in the beginning of 2021, they listed it for sale for $65,000. And that's not all, folks. Then they turned it around and listed it again for $87,900. In this next example here, you can see that at the end of 2019, this property sold for $65,000. And then in 2021, they listed it for sale for $150,000. That's more than double. And you can see the price has not gone down much this year either, only by a few $1,000s. Moving along to our next cheap property example, this one sold at the beginning of 2020 for a mere $16,000. And then towards the end of 2021, it got skyrocketed to $55,000. Keep in mind, folks, these properties are not in perfect condition, and a lot of them still need repairs or fixes. And when they're reselling these houses, they're just doing that, turning a profit. They are not repairing or fixing anything. Transitioning right into the next example, this one just blew me away. In March of 2021, it sold for $55,000, and then they turned around and listed it for sale in December of 2021. Forget this, folks, $120,000. You heard that right, $120,000. That is a 118.2% increase. And this house, it needs a full rehab. In our last example here, it was bought at $40,000 in September of 2021, and then it listed right away in December of 2021 for $88,700, and it hasn't budged since then. Folks, that's over double in 3 months' time. This is not just a boom. Some of these investors are creating a bubble. These investors wanted to park their money in real estate so they don't lose money, because the stock market was a little shaky and a little unstable, and many people were scared and full of fear. This fear is what shifted everyone's focus into the real estate market. With all of this in mind, the prices are still going to flow upwards because the demand is so high and the supply is very low. Unfortunately, folks, there is no crash coming. Perhaps a correction in the market, but definitely no crash. These prices we are seeing today are due to inflation and low supply. However, those examples that I showed you are all in the low end of the real estate market. So now let's talk about the medium range of the home market. Well, these medium range homes were bought in Florida by people that made a lot of money in crypto. They decided to take those gains from crypto and turn it into something more valuable, like real estate. And also, large investment firms purchased a large number of these medium-ranged homes and they turned them into rentals. And lastly, for the high-end section of the real estate market in Florida, you might be able to find some deals if you're lucky. However, you will still pay over the asking price, but significantly less over than you would pay for a medium and low range of the real estate. For the foreclosures, there are not so many, and prices are listed as under their market value. But there will be a bidding war for those properties, so be prepared for that if you're trying to put your hands on 1 or 2 of those whenever they pop up. Now, for these new builds, they're still going strong, but not strong enough. I believe they're trying to play it safe so they don't repeat the 2008 real estate market jam and collapse. I would personally recommend increasing the numbers of new builds per year by about 25%. I do believe that would ease up on some pressure and help prices to stabilize. The sales, in my opinion, would slow down and normalize, but still will continue to increase at a stable level, but higher than it was before the pandemic. I believe this will not happen though, because everyone wants to keep the inventory low to keep the momentum going. Moving along to the rental side of things, now, not everyone needs to buy a home, but everyone does need a roof over their head to live. And the most dangerous trend that I'm seeing is the rentals. The rental market has been growing significantly out of control. Other than the city of Minneapolis that put an ordinance in place for rentals, which does limit the landlords on how much they can increase their rent, it doesn't seem like anyone else is following suit. And yes, that is a little stepping over the line. However, a 20 to 30% in rental increases a year, it's eventually going to cause a big debacle and put tension in the Florida real estate market. Some people are also choosing to buy real estate through lenders and get mortgages in hopes to gain wealth. So basically, what they're trying to do is have the rentals pay for the mortgage for them. This is a little risky in my opinion. However, if that is what you want to do, you must have some kind of cushion money set aside. Because for one, we all know that mortgage is a liability, and that's the end of that. You put it on your balance sheet under the liabilities section, and that's it. Also, owning a home is a liability too. There is taxes, insurance, repairs, unpredictable circumstances, such as the neighborhood. What if it turns upside down from a great neighborhood to a not so great neighborhood, therefore decreasing the value? So as you can see, it has a double-edged sword. So tread carefully with that. And please, please, if this is something you really want to do, set aside some money to deal with the unpredictable things so you don't find yourself in a pickle and then you are forced to do the unthinkable. Some folks even use real estate as a tax shelter for deductions and segregations, but that's a discussion for a whole nother video. Folks, this type of stuff is what we have to watch for. These prices in the housing market that have been fluctuating are obviously going to keep going up. No one really knows to what extent or how much, but we can see the demand is high and the inventory is not going to go up anytime soon because the inventory simply doesn't exist. I believe the trend is going up and the boom will continue on. However, there will be some little corrections along the way. But as you can see, all the charts show an upward trend all the way from the 90s until now. I don't foresee any changes. With all of this in mind, real estate is still going to have a good year. Now, I'm sure you're wondering why real estate is such a hot topic these days. Well, it is an important investment because the inflation is 7.5%. So instead of losing 7.5% of your money by keeping it only in cash, putting your money in the real estate market instead can give you a better outlook. So let's say there's a 12 to 20% increase in value within a year's time. Now you can still make money and you still gain something on the interest even with this 7.5% inflation rate. So let's say even at 12.5% or 13%, it is still better than losing that 7.5% of your money every year. And yes, we all know the Fed is going to raise their rates, but it is just going to make it difficult for the first-time home buyers that are really looking to buy a home. Ultimately, it just is going to make it more expensive for them to purchase their first property. So those folks will have to gauge appropriately. In addition, the people that are borrowing money right now to purchase real estate have very good credit. A lot of them in the high 700s for their credit scores. And they are very responsible, good quality borrowers. There is nothing too bad happening on this horizon, just that the prices will keep going up. Florida is a good place to put your money. If you want to live here, visit, or even if you're just simply looking to get an edge on the market, it is still a good go. Basically, to wrap things up and throw reality back into the picture, there is no crash coming, just some possible corrections. And for you not to buy because you're expecting this big crash, it's just silly. You are keeping yourself out of the market and out of the game. I'll be buying, and I'm still looking to buy. Everyone has an opinion, but data, it never lies. I will be a buyer in the real estate market for 2022 this year. Let it be known the real estate market will never return to what it has before the pandemic or lower. So please don't fall for that. My hope today is that you have learned a thing or two from me here in this video. Thank you and see you next time.